from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Hi,
I'm Beth.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jessica, and we're just your everyday
Methodist to the
madness. Well, Tim, it's been a week. How was this past week for you? I'd love to hear all about it.
Interesting. So at some point towards the latter half of the week, I figured out, I kind of just re-implemented what I had said in the last episode about kind of taking joy into efforts and so forth. And I just kind of put the two words together. It's important to have joyful effort regarding everything that you do. Like any time that you have to put effort into something, it's just really valuable to experience enjoyment regarding it. And that's just been really therapeutic for me for several work days last week. I just kind of had like more of a carefree attitude, but also was totally comfortable with putting a little bit more energy into things. And I think it's really important because there's a tendency regarding doing work where people are like, oh, I have to do work. Oh my gosh. But then like, if you have the idea of joyful effort, it's kind of like the opposite, where it's like, okay, this is like a challenge for myself to like improve my life or improve my job or something. And it actually kind of reminds me of playing like a role-playing game or something where you're getting to the next level because you're completing this challenge or you're completing this goal and so forth. So I thought it was very interesting. There's something else. And last week, my coworker showed me something that I didn't expect at all. He came up to me and he showed me what they call a fidget toy. I'm like, what? A fidget toy? And it had like a joystick on it, and it had like all these little buttons and switches. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. And so it inspired me. I'm like, maybe I'm going to go ahead and buy one for myself. And I did some reading and stuff, and fidget toys help with like attention problems, and they help with like stress and anxiety and things like that. And so I happened to discover that about them, and also discovered another type of fidget toy called infinity cubes. So you have the fidget cube and the infinity cube, and infinity cubes are really fascinating because it's kind of like a mini Rubik's cube, but it's more simple. So you basically like pick up the muscle memory really quickly, and it becomes more of like a meditative kind of exercise that you do with your hands. And so I found like a lot of peace, like having one of these. And I also bought one of those regular fidget cubes with like the joystick and like little buttons and stuff. And like when I have moments in which I'm like waiting, or like I have like an opportunity to pull out my phone or something, instead I could just use one of those fidget cubes or the infinity cube. And I've been noticing benefits. Like I think I've been like less stressed out and everything. And so for any of you in the audience that think that something like that could help, I definitely recommend it. It's very cool. And today I actually kind of had an off day. For whatever reason, I was just kind of bummed out and wasn't really thinking all that clearly. But I think I managed to psych myself out of it by remembering that I can pray to God and reach out to God and remember that the Holy Spirit is with me. And that definitely helped once I remembered that. So yeah, it's always so important to me to keep practicing my faith and keep being a spiritual person.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's my update.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, fidget toys. I think I've tried those like pop-it things or whatever, and they just really are frustrating for me.
I got a pop-it keychain from Hobby Lobby just because I was waiting in line for a really long time, and I was playing with it in line, And I was, this is the best thing ever. And it was, and it's a keychain. Do I know what happened to it? Do I know where it is now? Absolutely not. I don't. But it will turn up unless the dogs already ate it, which is also a possibility. I have a fidget, I don't know where my fidget cube is, but I have an infinity cube in my car because sometimes
you just don't want to drive.
Well, it's really dumb because when I'm driving, I don't want to be driving, and like when it's like when you have ADHD, you want to be doing 25 different things at once to kind of like scratch your brain itch. But when you're driving, you have to just be driving. So sometimes like at stoplights or whatever, when it's boring, I'll get out my little fidget cube and like blow, play.
Yeah, I could just imagine, that little control stick on the fidget cube.
It's the infinity cube, not the fidget cube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, the infinity cube, you could do like a couple of motions with the cube while you're at the stoplight. Like sometimes we sit there for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like you could seriously like have a full-on gaming session with that infinity cube during those 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
That's why I installed a retractable chessboard on my vehicle.
You did?
No. But I do think that would be pretty cool, is if there was like a miniature, like retractable, like chessboard or like a checkers board that you can just instead of a CD player, because nobody listens to CDs, they just plug their phones in or whatever.
Yeah.
Just have something for any inventors that are listening.
Jessica, for the record, I have a magnetic chessboard. So if you need a chessboard donation that you want to put onto your car and have like an awesome chessboard experience in your car, then I think that would be the opportunity.
Perfect. I just wonder what people would do is if they looked over at like a stoplight and saw somebody like playing chess by themselves, like just moving the pieces. They're like, wait, what is this anyway, something to think about.
Actually, that's interesting that you mentioned about the retractable chessboard idea, because I did mention, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, that I was going to get into chess, and I actually did sort of get into chess. I want to be more habitual with it, but something that I really find enjoyable is to play blitz chess. So on chess.com, you could play chess in which you have 5 minutes to make all your moves for the entire match. And you end up moving really fast, and then you're like making mistakes potentially, or the other person's making mistakes, and it's kind of it's almost like you're doing like a chess race or something. So if you want to make chess more exciting, you can do chess blitz. It's like 5-minute chess.
Super cool, awesome. Beth, how was this past week for you?
I don't remember a lot of it because I don't.
It just all went into one day.
It went into one day. Yesterday we had our messy church that I've been prepping for the past couple weeks, and usually when I have these big events, I forget to enjoy myself because I'm too busy like getting all this stuff ready. And there was like a little bit of that this time, like, oh, I gotta get this stuff, there's so much to do, and I gotta do the thing. And I took out I remembered to like take little moments of enjoyment while I was there. And it just always, I know that as the person who is running this stuff, it is my job to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, making sure everything is being done. But at the same time, I feel bad because I feel like I need to be helping at every single station or cooking every single thing instead of overseeing and making sure that other people are doing it. And I got off to like a little bit of like a frazzled start getting ready for it because Jeannie had asked if I wanted to have the kids help decorate the Christmas tree at Sunday school? And I was like, yeah, sure. So yesterday I went through like a bunch of bins that had a bunch of stuff in it, and the kids were like, they were having fun, but there were like little issues that would come up, like if the hooks fell off of them, they wanted to put a new hook on there. But then this other kid who's younger than him kept taking the ones in his pile that didn't have hooks on them. And anyway, it was a whole thing. And then Sunday school was over, and then I was left with all of these big bins of stuff that I didn't know what to do with. And I felt like it was my responsibility to decorate the whole church because I had opened up all of these literal Pandora's boxes. Okay, they're not literal Pandora's boxes, but and so then I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. And then I had to leave to go to the store. And so I just texted Miriam, like, I'm not going to be there. I might be a little late after you get there. So the first thing you can do is figure out what to do with all this Christmas stuff. And she just packed it up and put it in the fireside room, like temporarily. And I didn't even know that was an option. Like if I knew pack it up and not look at it anymore, that's what I would have done. But because I opened all the boxes, I was like, well, now this is my job that I've taken on. And now I feel like I have a little bit of an understanding as to why I am the way that I am. Because if I just open up a box, then I feel like I have to do the whole thing when I don't really.
Well, I'm glad you said you put it in the fireside room instead of the fireplace. That was like a little nervous on where you were going with that, Beth.
Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like, but Messy Church was good. And I feel like everybody had a fun time. And
what was your favorite soup?
I really liked the cheeseburger soup that Lisa made. That one was good. We almost lost the French onion soup that I made the day before. I was driving down the freeway, listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, laughing along because they're funny. And then a car stopped short in front of me, so I had to put my brakes on a little bit. And everything that was in my passenger seat, including my soup, flew off the seat and onto the floor. And I was like, no. So I went into the Chevron parking lot on M and 10th Street West just to make sure my soup was still okay. And somehow it was. The lid stayed on. And then I picked it up and put a seatbelt on the soup to keep it safe.
Yes. That's the way you secure it.
Yep. I should have thought safety first from the beginning, but I thought safety second, and my soup almost died. So
yeah. You know what? I do that too, where I put a whole bunch of stuff on my passenger seat. So maybe I should put the seatbelt. You know, I have my backpack. Instead of putting it on the floor, well, because there's like, you know, that the passenger seat floor is like a really big floor usually. Like the backpack doesn't fit the entire floor unless you put the backpack flat. So I happened to brake when I was driving, and I happened to have my backpack open when that happened. Well, my backpack fell down. A whole bunch of stuff fell out of my backpack. So you know what? Just put everything on the passenger seat and put the seatbelt. I like that.
Yep. That's what you got to do. So my whole week was just Messy Church yesterday, I guess. But I have been I did go to quilting, and speaking of quilting, I gave Lucy her quilt and she really loved it. And
awesome.
That's wonderful.
Thankful for it. And I've just been spending my time making mugs and ornaments. And I just made Methodist to the Madness keychains. And that's my week. Just what happened yesterday and today and Saturday.
And Friday.
And Friday.
Thursday.
And Wednesday. Okay, just kidding.
Don't forget Tuesday.
How was your week, Jessica?
So one really cool thing that we did was last Friday. We had so much fun. We went out and got we split an appetizer or something over at Raven's Nest. Reverse. We had Pastor Jim come over for a game afternoon. He came over at like 2:45-ish, I think. And we played a game, a board game. And I felt like this was the second time that we had played this game together, with Amber, myself, and Pastor Jim. And I did not win, but that's okay. But I feel like I played better. But then after that, he had to hurry up and go to his very first practice for Dr. Seussical. And Amber and I got ready and we went to get appetizers over at Raven's Nest because we went to AV College for their 8 p.m. showing. It was their Christmas jazz performance with Dathan, and Dathan played the trumpet.
Oh.
And it was so awesome. Number one, 8:00 p.m. for us is like midnight. So we were like really just trying to focus, but it was so fun to listen to the jazz music and really awesome to hear Dathan play the trumpet and him to kind of showcase his skills. There were a lot of other families and people from the church as well. I remember Cece was there, Kirsten. We saw, I was going to say Aunt Jeannie, but well, I guess she wouldn't mind if I said Aunt Jeannie, but because I do have an Aunt Jeannie and that's
I know Aunt Jeannie. Are they the same person?
Yeah, I was wondering. Now, you might have to clarify that.
Yeah. Anyways, and so it was a lot of fun to see everybody there. And the coolest part was when Dathan had like a little solo moment with his trumpet and he played When the Saints Go Marching In, which was kind of awesome because, well, Amber's from Louisiana and that's what you play if you're down in New Orleans. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, this past week was pretty good. And hoping this next week has some fun surprises in store. Who knows? Yeah. I feel like December is incredibly busy for us. I feel like every Saturday we have booked, almost every Sunday we have booked. But it's fun because we get to enjoy everybody and kind of celebrate the holiday spirit. So, yeah. But speaking of holiday spirit, though, a lot of holiday things going on at the church. One of them that we already got a nice little gift for the women's Christmas party. We already purchased a gift. Very excited about it. There's a lot of really cool things that are going on at the church. Just had our Advent Messy Church party. It was confirmed to be from 4 to 6 p.m. So for those that thought it was at 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m., sorry for any confusion. December 9th, the In-Betweeners Christmas party, that's at 6 p.m. And then for those who are curious about our upcoming memorial services, just know that Claire Agan's memorial service is on December 12th. That's at 1 p.m. And then Neil's is on December 16th at 11 a.m. Really exciting thing, though, on December 14th. The senior Christmas luncheon is at 11:30 in the social hall, followed by December 17th. As I said last week, a lot of people in Southern California are raving about this Christmas party. The women's Christmas party from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Pastor Jim and Jody White's home. So this is going to be exciting.
It's going to be a rager because it will be filled with rage.
Oh,
right. And,
yeah.
And as I mentioned, Beth will be leading in a, a holy mosh pit?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. On December 24th, Christmas Eve worship is at 6 and 7:30 p.m. So then the family interactive worship in the social hall will be at 6 p.m. We're probably going to learn more about that in this coming service, is my my thought process.
Yeah.
What were you
Right.
Oh,
right.
there's also a 9 a.m. service since Christmas Eve is on a Sunday this year, and it'll be like an interactive Christmas pageant thing.
Wow.
There will be no 11 o'clock service.
It makes me wonder what the 9 a.m. is going to be like on that Sunday, because I'm supposed to sing worship at 9 o'clock that Sunday, but everyone's going to go to the evening services, is my assumption. You know what I mean?
Maybe everyone will still come to the 9 o'clock, and then they'll go to the evening one too.
I think there will still be people there because they still have their Sunday routines and whatnot.
Yes.
And then they're just going to stay there until 6 p.m.
Yes.
Most likely.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll be there because I work there.
Yes.
That's actually maybe the after party to the women's Christmas party. So we get that energy going that entire time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. As always, Wednesdays, Kids Club with Beth at 5:30, and then our Food for Thought journey in the season of Advent. That's going to be thereafter. So please don't miss it. There's so many amazing things happening. If you're not sure where to go this holiday season, well, guess what? You're always welcome to hang out with us.
Jessica's house.
At my house. Speaking of my house, Beth, why don't we head into Beth's ministry moment?
Great. Well, we have a very special guest today who will not be promoting a ministry. She will be promoting herself, and she lives in Jessica's house. It's Jessica's cat, Freddie. I'm assuming your cat, Freddie, is a girl, right?
Freddie is a boy.
Oh,
There-
I'm so sorry. Your cat. Actually, our guest is Jessica's wife, Amber. Welcome, Amber.
Yay.
Hi. Oh, sorry. The dogs got real excited when I said that.
How did you start coming to this church, Amber? I assume you just decided to come with Jessica, but I want to know if your stories line up.
So, yes, you're right. I basically just came with her. She took me kicking and screaming into the church.
Really?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. It's a very interesting story because I grew up very religious. My grandmother was Pentecostal, and she was so she was very religious, and we were not allowed to celebrate Halloween. We also grew up Pentecostal, so long hair. We didn't cut our hair. We didn't wear makeup. We wore dresses and skirts and all of that. And then as I got older, I moved more into Assembly of God. And in that, while I was with the Assembly, it was like my senior year of high school, and I started to realize that I was different. And I realized that, I was gay, and they were constantly, it was kind of like a fire and brimstone type preaching. And so anyways, I didn't feel comfortable being there anymore. And I kind of just, I hate to say kind of took a break from God, but I feel like I took a break from God because I was trying to figure out, who am I? Like, where am I supposed to be? What is this? Does he love me? Does he not?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
anyways, so that went on for a while, a very long time. I actually went years without going to church, but then I did get back into my own relationship with God, and I was just doing devotions and reading my Bible and, listening to worship music and that sort of thing just on my own. And that's one way that Jessica and I really bonded, was over our love of God. So then when I moved out here, we tried a couple churches, but then we quickly realized they did not accept us either. So then when we moved out to Llano Valley, we found Palmdale United Methodist, and we started watching online. And I will say it did take a lot of courage for me to go, because I just was kind of at a point where I couldn't handle rejection anymore. And so for me, I just, I told Jessica, I said, the first inkling of rejection that I feel, like I'm not going to be able to stay there. And, she was very understanding. And we actually emailed Pastor Jim, and
Wow.
he responded and was very just open. And, I just remember going the first time and I was like, this is a smaller church. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to like the mega churches. And so it was different for me at first, but I loved how Pastor Jim just like really tied in history with his sermons. And it was not a fire and brimstone type preaching, which was totally different for me. And I felt like I walked away learning so much. And I also felt so accepted, and everybody was just so warm and inviting. And Pastor Jim and Pastor John both introduced themselves to us immediately. And it was just, I instantly felt like I'm at home. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Wow, that's amazing, Amber, and
That's awesome.
that's
Well,
so cool, and I can relate to that story a lot because I basically found myself as an unbeliever, basically proclaimed myself an atheist at one point, and I kind of had to find God again. And it's interesting that you brought up this testimony because it kind of really falls into like like the sermon that we had. But to finish what I was saying there, like it really took a lot of time and patience and like opening my mind to God again. And like when I started listening to the Bible, like on my way to work and stuff, and really just like developing my own relationship with God first, then it made it a lot more comfortable, and I felt a lot more safe and accepting of like going to a church and really being open to the message. So yeah, I totally, and that's just really great that it's been such a valuable experience for you and Jessica, and that's really awesome that like you're able to find that, like especially considering like your past church experiences.
I'm so excited that you guys were able to find a place that feels like home, because that's what I always say about the Palmdale United Methodist Church. It feels like home to me also. And I'm glad you found your way. I always love to hear how people, not just their testimonies, but how they ended up at, that they're at. And
Right.
so, I'm just so glad. I'm just so thankful that you two were able to find a home at Palmdale United Methodist Church.
Yeah, and I think one thing for us is we we prayed that we would be able to find a group of people that would accept us and that we could hang out with, and we could call friends, and we could be open and vulnerable with, and there was no judgment there. And I genuinely feel like God really directed us towards this church, because I feel like we have found that. I feel like there's been so many people that we've been able to be open and vulnerable with, and there's absolutely no judgment.
Yeah.
It's like I do feel like our church just meets you where you're at, and I think that's just amazing. And I've never had that before until Palmdale United Methodist, and I'm so thankful and so blessed that I went kicking and screaming.
Speaking of hanging out with people and being able to be vulnerable, I remember. Do you remember in the summer when we met at Lucky Luke's? You, Amber, and me, and Jessica, and I had a really bad day that day, and it was when I was planning VBS, and like my friends were helping me, and I ended up my friend accidentally locked us out of my office, and my keys were in there and my phone was in there. And I think it was a Friday, so there wasn't anybody in the office that could let me into my own office. I locked myself out of my office so many times, it's not even funny. So sometimes my friends help me, and it was just such a weird day. My friends drove me to Miriam's house, and she wasn't home, so she couldn't let me in. And then I got back into my friend's car, and she just started looking at me, and I was like, what? And she was like, seatbelt. And I was like, I'm a grown adult. You don't need to tell me to put my seatbelt on. And she just was like, seatbelt. And I had like a huge meltdown and like yelled at my friends who were helping me all day. And then I got out of the car and walked back to the office, because Miriam lives really close to the office. And they like drove back to the office and were waiting for me, even though I just yelled at them. Shopping cart along the way, and I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was carrying, and I'm just like walking down 11th Street West with my shopping cart and stuff in it, and I was like, this is not the look of a person whose life is going well right now. And all of this to say, I called my husband and he came to get. We were able to get a hold of him, so he came with my spare key, and I was like, I just yelled at my friends, they hate me, and blah blah blah, and I was telling him I was gonna go to Lucky Luke's with you guys, and he was like, well, you probably shouldn't go to Lucky Luke's with Jessica and Amber, and I was like, I probably need to more than ever though, and
Yeah.
I told myself I'm not gonna tell Jessica and Amber what happened because they'll think I'm a crazy person. So instead, I just immediately told them as soon as I sat down.
Yeah.
Did not think I was a crazy person. And now I've told all 10 people who listen to this podcast about my meltdown. So it's
wow. That just occurred to me at this point. I was just so caught up in what we were talking about that
But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because
that's awesome.
That's my story. And as much as I hate being vulnerable, I find that when you are vulnerable, that's truly when you make your deepest connections. And so thank you, Amber and Jessica, for being there and letting me be vulnerable with you guys.
You know what? Always, Beth. Always.
Thank you.
I was going to ask Amber one question that I know everybody's been curious about. You know, life with me on the daily. I know people are probably curious, like, what is it like being married to the coolest person in the world? You know,
I'll ask Craig and I'll get back to you.
You want me to answer this for real? Yes, please elaborate. We've got plenty of time. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm a very honest person. So do you want the truth or do you want it sugar-coated?
I don't know. Beth, Tim, what do you want to hear?
Sugar-coated sounds delicious.
I'm good with either one. You know, it's like...
But we're also talking vulnerability right now. So I want the real truth.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're willing to provide it.
Because I'm willing to bet it's not everything it's cracked up to be.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
It is never boring. Let me just say that. No, I mean, you know, I find myself actually lately, I've been struggling with, okay, I'm about to toot your horn, but don't let it get to your head. Okay. But lately, I've really been struggling with how no matter what Jessica starts, whether she's done it before, she's never done it in her entire life, she is great at everything. It doesn't matter what it is. And for me, I'm such a perfectionist that if I'm not good at something the first time, I'm done. I'm not going to keep trying because I'm not going to be a failure and I'm just not going to look like a fool. And so for me, I've been struggling. I'm like, you have your purpose, Jessica. You know who you are. You're good at everything. No matter what you touch, it turns to gold. And for me, I'm struggling with just who I am in general right now. And, for me, I feel like my only title is teacher. And I'm kind of at a place where I don't like want to be that anymore. And so sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's hard to be like, hey, let's play this game together. And she's great at it. And I'm like, geez, I was hoping just one time I'd be good at it. No, but she does keep things really interesting. I think right now we're just having a lot of hard times with like trying to figure out how to communicate effectively with her lack of focus that she kind of has right now. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we're struggling with. But we're just trying to figure out how to navigate. I think now with the recent diagnosis, I'm just trying to think in my brain, like, don't take it personally that she's distracted while you're talking to her. Just remember that that's just how her brain operates. That's how her brain works. And so I'm, actively trying to remind myself of that. And my therapist reminds me of that when we talk about it. So, I just tend to take things really personally sometimes.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
Yeah.
If you lived in my house, Amber, there are 4 humans that live here, and 4 dogs and 3 cats and a tarantula. But his name's Kevin or her. We still don't know if it's a boy or a girl. But anyway, every human in this house is like neurodivergent in some way. So some ways are similar, we're similar to each other, and other ways are very different. And with Owen, like sometimes we're arguing about the same, we're having the same argument with each other, but just from our perspectives. And it's hard even when we have the same diagnosis. It's
right, because the neurodivergence kind of like one is going this way and then the other one is kind of going the right way, but it's like diagonal, and
it's just a different hard, I guess. Like
right.
Amber and Jessica were previously in separate rooms, but now they're together in the same room. Hi, Amber and Jessica.
I just wanted to make sure that when I tooted my own horn, she could hear it. Toot, toot.
It definitely sounds like it now. Very nice.
Great. It's wonderful.
Anyway, should we talk about a sermon?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect. You got the tooting the horns, and now we can talk about the sermon.
Speaking
that sounds great.
Tooting horns, have we got a sermon?
That sure does toot its own horn.
I'm not sure like where the connection is there, but I'm certainly going with that.
Well, when it's dark out, all you can hear are train horns.
That's right. Perfect.
I don't know. That's the only connection I could really.
Yeah, like seriously, like if you're standing out in the middle of nowhere and you hear the tooting of a horn from a train, then that actually kind of reminds me of the story that Pastor Jim mentioned about the person who needed to take care of something in the absolute darkness, and then he would have to have courage to do so. So yeah, you hear a train in the distance and it's absolutely dark. It has a different impact than when it's light out.
It's a bunch of tohu wabu. That's what. Wabu. Yeah. Tohu
Yeah.
wabohu.
I
Yeah,
was going to remember the word, but then I didn't.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jessica.
Tohu wabohu.
So tohu wabohu.
Wabohu. Yeah.
Tohu
Tohu
wabohu.
wabohu.
There we go.
Formless,
I actually wrote it down.
Chaos of nothingness. That's what that means. So yeah, this past Sunday, Pastor Jim dove into the Advent series, our December series, The Dark of Creation, and he specifically went into God's holy darkness, or God's holy darkness, the dark of creation is what he dove into. So Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. That's probably the most infamous verse that anybody thinks of when they start the Bible, because, well, what do you know? It's the beginning of the Bible, Genesis 1. Yeah, famous. So whatever.
I thought you were going to say it's the beginning of.
Anyways, I was just trying to throw in some tohu wabohu, so it's fine. So yeah, this past Sunday we dove into the dark of creation in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. There's a book that was referenced in there by Barbara Brown Taylor, Learning to Walk in the Dark, Lunar Spirituality. And I'm curious what your guys' takeaways were of this, and what your connection to darkness is like. I'm very curious about that.
I have something. And the first thing is I absolutely love this sermon. And I totally connected with it. And I think this was kind of like the pivotal point for my faith. Kind of crossing from solar spirituality to lunar spirituality, kind of unknowingly, because for me to reject my faith in the past, I basically rejected solar spirituality. Consequently, I had questions that caused me to just underwhelm my faith until it was completely underwhelming, and I couldn't surface from that for a very long time, until I came to the conclusion that I could have faith while still wrestle with the darkness, like the questions, the doubts, and things like that. I at this point believe in my life that faith and doubts are not incompatible. I think that they're not opposed to each other. So like you can have doubts, but still have the utmost faith, and that just, I think, is the enduring and otherwise strong faith that a person can have, a faith that is okay with doubts. And so I think I'm just fortunate that I'm at this position, but I definitely can say that like all the sermons that Pastor Jim and Pastor John like give out, and just like how you have the Wesleyan quadrilateral that we mention every so often in this podcast. It's like all of that. It's just really built my faith, and I think I actually can confidently say that I have a lunar spirituality, and I certainly would not be accepted by certain Christian groups if I was to say all of these things to them. That darkness is, I don't know, something about darkness, because that's the stereotypical or otherwise like accepted approach, like darkness being bad and good being the light. So yeah. There was that references the very last verse that Pastor Jim shared from Psalm 131 verse 12. For even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for that's darkness is as light to you. So it's pretty awesome. I'm waiting for Beth to make shirts with all of the different kinds of moons, and for it to say like lunar spirituality,
It's gonna say the moon. It's just a phase.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the song I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness?
I don't think so. I haven't heard that one. What is it?
I'm gonna Jessica's shaking her head no, but I used to sing it at karaoke. I'm gonna sing a little bit for you. Not a lot,
Oh yeah, we could have singing.
But yeah, it goes, I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. There's a chance we can make it now. Love. Ooh. Yeah, I used to sing that one at karaoke. And then I'd play air guitar for longer than anybody should ever be allowed to play air guitar at the end of the song, because it's like a whole minute or 3 or 7 of guitar. And the karaoke DJ that I would go to in South Dakota in my 20s, when I was playing my air guitar, he would let me know that he could tell that I do not play real guitar because of the placement of my fingers. And I was like,
You're like, obviously you don't play the air guitar, sir.
Yeah, the air guitar has totally different frets and hand positions.
There's more strings too.
Yeah, there's so many strings. It's ridiculous. So anyone trying to critique my air guitar skills, you can't even see my guitar, so you don't even know what kind it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. Seriously, like, do they have some kind of special goggles that allow them to see?
My strings go from, how do guitars work? Oh yeah, the high ones are, no, that's not how. I don't know how. Never mind. How do guitars work? Nobody knows. No, there's no way of knowing.
There is no way. There's no way.
So that's what I think of when I think of the darkness. Believe in a thing called love. And I love what Amber shared with us, because it totally ties in with Pastor Jim's sermon. And
oh yeah.
I'm glad that you had that courage, because it's so interesting to me, because most of the things that I do scared, because I don't know, I don't like to take big risks and stuff, but I think that's what everybody's doing. Well, they're taking bigger risks than me, but I think everybody's doing stuff scared, because if we're not a little scared, we're not probably.
What are we living for, man?
Yeah. And I think it was a couple of sermons ago where somebody talked about how fear and excitement are almost the same emotion, or maybe it was the book that I was reading and it wasn't a sermon, but fear and excitement are like pretty much almost the same emotion, except for one you're excited and the other you're scared. So I'm just going to trick myself into feeling like I'm excited instead of scared.
Right. But then, yeah, in a way that kind of interestingly leads into that in my check-ins about joyful effort. It's kind of like embracing that, kind of having courage despite the fact that we're afraid. But yeah, I think that you're right, Beth. It kind of starts with psyching ourselves into like having excitement for the things, even though we have that fear. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, there were a lot of awesome things, but Amber shared just some things that she's been experiencing for a little bit, and this sermon was like made for her. And so I would love if you feel comfortable speaking on that, because I am just so encouraged by what God is doing in your life in the darkness.
Yeah. So, basically I made this move with my job thinking that it would help a lot of my anxiety and depression. And
moving from Burbank to Westside,
so I could be closer to home, and I could be home at 2:15. I'm not doing the commute, because the driving and that traffic is a lot of what heightened my anxiety. Well, I thought it was. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. And so now I'm finding myself in this place of my anxiety has been overwhelming, and to the point where, I would say it's almost debilitating, to the point where I'm like isolating myself and not wanting to go out and be around people because I don't feel like I'm fun. I feel like people are looking at me and making fun of me and just I'm not in a good headspace at all. And I'm working with my therapist. I've been working with her for like 1.5 years on this, and she's now recommended that I get on anxiety medication, which is what I was trying to avoid. But I think at this point in my life, like, it's changing who I am, that I think I should, and I've been in this really dark place of like, I don't really think that teaching is what I want to do anymore, but I don't really know what else I would do. And I can't seem to find my purpose. Like, I feel like I should be more involved in the church and in the community, but I don't know what that looks like. And I see how involved Jessica is, and it is so inspiring. At the same time, it is that much more depressing for me, because I just feel, nothing against her, of course, but it just feels like I can't figure out where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I feel like I keep praying and I keep asking God, like, where am I supposed to be? Please guide me, direct me. And I'm not finding it. Well, I have, within the last couple weeks, I've started this new devotion that's kind of based on people with anxiety. And it has been, it has just, I feel like every page that I open just speaks directly to me. It's called Grace is Enough by Courtney Fidel. We just got it on Amazon. But it's really great because it tells her story and it has a scripture that goes with it. But then it also has a prayer and it has a further scripture that you can read. And then it also asks you questions about what you're doing in your life and how do you feel and that sort of thing. So I do a lot of journaling with it too. And it has literally just been speaking to me. And every time, I open Facebook, I open Instagram, I open up my devotional, I open up my Bible, and everything I see is seek God, seek God. Like, everything is just, right now you need to seek God. Like, you need to stop trying to put so much pressure on yourself to be that person that's doing all the things. And right now, just sit in this moment and seek God. And so while Pastor Jim was preaching, I was like, it was just like I was getting hit one after another. And I thought, okay, God, like, I hear you. I hear you. And it was very interesting because I was sitting there listening to the sermon and I thought, that's me right now. Like, I feel like I am in the darkness. I am in the dark. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm about to run into. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. But right now, I need to just trust in him and seek him and let him guide me. And all of these things were just like coming to me. I felt like I could really just feel God speaking to me. And it was almost as if this like wave of peace and calmness just kind of came over me. And sometimes when I feel that, I like to say it feels like God's just like wrapping his arms around me, because that's what it feels like. It feels like I can feel this like warm presence just around me and within me. And I was very touched and moved by the sermon. And right now, I'm trying to focus on not being a perfectionist, not looking at what's next, but looking at this moment and what is it that God is teaching me right now? What is he preparing me for? So it was a wonderful message.
Yeah, that's amazing, Amber. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing.
And it goes to that quote that he shared in church, the Barbara Brown Taylor, learning to walk in the dark. I think this is like the quote that kind of made Amber fall out of her seat. It was, the first time you speak of these things in a full solar church, you can usually get a hearing. Continue to speak of them, and you may be reminded that God will not let you be tested beyond your strength. All that is required of you is to have faith. Sooner or later, the message will be made explicit for you. The darkness is your own fault because you do not have enough faith. I'll repeat that last part because that was the crazy part that I thought. All that is required of you is to have faith. Sooner or later, the message will be made explicit for you. The darkness is your own fault because you do not have enough faith. So it was kind of like, instead, learn to embrace that lunar spirituality where God's divine light is available.
Instead of me like beating myself up over.
Right.
I'm in this dark place. Yeah.
I didn't, that, I'm probably interpreting.
Yeah, I think I was interpreting it wrong too.
But that quote rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, because that feels like they're saying if you have depression, that's your fault. And you didn't have faith in God.
And I took that as, in my brain, I took that as like, that's the solar spirituality of thinking, that if you are in this place of darkness and you feel like your faith is being tested, then kind of shame on you. And I've come from those churches, so I get that. Like, I can relate to that. But I also take it a different way, as, because for me, I'm in this dark place and I'm beating myself up. Like, I'm a woman of God and I'm filled with anxiety and depression. Like, what is wrong with me? And I remember being in a church that said, if you have anxiety, then you need to just trust God. Like, it's your fault if you're not trusting God. If you have depression, it's because you're not seeking God. And to me, I absolutely am. But for some reason, I'm still here in this moment, you know? And the churches that I came from were very much like, you're letting the devil take over, you know? And not looking at it as, maybe this is a time that I'm supposed to be learning something. That God he's teaching me, he's getting me ready for something. Like, I'm preparing for something.
Right.
Embracing the darkness and learning to kind of thrive in the darkness, because, you know, he shared even, there was another verse about how he talked that there are treasures in the darkness, you know?
What Amber was saying about the both of those, like, I think it's a little bit of both, kind of like, on the one hand, it's like, I guess speaking from personal experience, it's like kind of like blaming myself for things or just feeling horrible or whatever. And then it's like, oh, I do have faith in God, and like, what's going on? Like, how come I'm just spiraling into like instability? And because I went through a period where I just felt really isolated, or I felt really unstable all the time. And I think it was at times it was a little bit of both, and at other times it was one or the other. And I think what kind of brought me out of it was going on the other side of the perspective of that quote. It's like kind of looking at my faith a little bit differently, like seeking God, or like he has a loving embrace, or like feeling the Holy Spirit, and like actually like seeking God in those times of trouble, and kind of recognizing that if I trust in God, then maybe I don't have to be so unstable. Like maybe if I just kind of take steps in the right direction, eventually I'll kind of figure it out. And so that's kind of been like the path. So I think it is kind of like a little bit of both in a way. And like faith is sort of like the saving thing, but it could also be something that you like look at it and like, why am I still having this going on, and so forth. And so it's just that really was so nice what Pastor Jim was saying about the lunar spirituality, because I think that really means a lot for like a growing faith that helps us in times of trouble.
Yeah, it's true. There's levels to everything, and
I was thinking
of light.
Yeah.
And I like the last question he asked was, how do we develop the courage to walk in the dark if we are never asked to practice? Because we're always like told to, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Like, all these things are just like all these positive, uplifting things. But it's like, let's be real. Life is so difficult. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things that happen on a daily basis. And we need to continue practicing what it's like to live in the darkness and what God can teach us in those moments. And there's so many things that can help. And that's with, a sense of community. We're in the holiday season. So if you are experiencing a bunch of darkness in your life and you feel like you're not able to see any like learning moments from that darkness or whatever's happening, find a sense of community around you, or come to church in person if you've been attending virtually, like do something that can challenge you and practice, just like you do when you work out. You go to the gym to go work out, or you go for a walk outside. You do something to practice health within your own self. Now practice something that can help you in those times of darkness. So.
Right. And then it's okay to be in those times of darkness too, because maybe you'll have like a better perspective on what's going on, or you might make a better decision regarding like next steps and things like that. But in the end, it's like, yeah, like you said, Jessica, you have the church community, you have opportunities for like growth and like helping yourself, like going for a walk and like doing, I like to think this is the Christmas season, right? I like to think about that song, the favorite thing song, go out and do your favorite thing, like whether it's outside or inside. Like I just, sometimes you need that light and sometimes you need the darkness. I think it's kind of like a blessing to have both. Sometimes it could be tough though, like, just waking up in the morning, like, oh gosh, like, I didn't sleep very well or something like that. But then other times we're just like ready to wake up and we're prepared for the day and so forth. But I think we have opportunities to learn and grow in all of those moments.
See, little did you know you were embracing the darkness at night because you really looked forward to that darkness to go to bed, Tim.
Yeah.
Who sleeps with the lights on? Come on.
Wait, I never said that I sleep with the lights on.
No, I know. Wait, you don't know.
We came to that conclusion on our own.
Yes.
Have any of you ever slept with the lights on accident? Like you were so exhausted?
I did. When I was in basic training, I slept on the dryer because it was the only warm spot. I'm not kidding. You find anywhere to take a nap. Anywhere.
I think that's sensible, Jessica.
Yeah. And so I've gotten really good at it. Airplanes.
She can sleep through anything.
I think I should go to the Olympics for this. I'm just saying.
It's a talent.
You're
you know what? I would be
including sleeping deeply, waking up, and sleeping anywhere. Amber can't even sleep in the bed correctly. She's falling off all the time. And Jessica.
That might be because of the animals. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats that like to live with us.
That does make sense. Okay.
One of them likes to be the Holy Spirit in between us, So I don't know if you guys have heard that saying where kids go to a dance and their parents say, leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Oh, no, I haven't heard that saying.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'll be saying. Anyway. Well, this leads us into prayer requests, and I'd like to start with the most important person on today's podcast. So I'll go ahead and start. Amber, go ahead.
Oh boy. I guess I would really appreciate some prayers. Just kind of what I'm going through internally, mentally, also physically exhausting. And that I survive the holiday season with 25, 7, and 8-year-olds. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's 6, 7, and 8-year-olds because I teach first and second grade. So that would be great.
Amber, when you said that, I was thinking like that you and Jessica were inviting 25, 6, and 7-year-olds to your house.
I think that's how we would go to prison, Tim. Pretty sure that's how that works.
Not a good idea.
Wait.
0 stars, do not recommend.
There's a comedian, Dimitri Martin, where he said, you can say you love kids, but you can't be specific about it. You can say I love kids, but you can't say I love 12-year-olds.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that, actually.
Yeah. Yep. So don't go around saying I love 12-year-olds.
Right.
Well, we will be praying for Amber, though, as she's going through the holiday season. Beth?
Continued prayers for Lucy. And I had lunch with a couple of my friends today. It was one of my friends. It was her birthday today. And she's having a really hard time. She found a local kind of boarding school to send her son to for high school, and it's in LA. And so he goes Monday through Friday and then comes home on the weekends. And she's just having a really, really hard time with him being gone like during the week. I think it's harder for her because he gets to come home on the weekends. It's not just like he's going off to college and then, he comes home at Thanksgiving. And she's been feeling really anxious and stressed about it, and is also starting to have like physical symptoms of anxiety, like nausea and stuff like that. So if we could pray for her. Her name is Marlene.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, Beth.
Oh, you've actually met Marlene. She helped at VBS.
Yeah, I think I remember Marlene. That name is ringing a bell for me.
She was my friend who was running around helping me with stuff on the day that we were decorating for VBS.
I'm sure if I saw
Was she the one with the really cute flower shoes?
That was me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I think that's who that was. I remember the shoes.
Right, yeah.
I don't remember the shoes, but if I were to see her, I probably would know exactly who Marlene was. And I would go, "You're Marlene with the flower shoes."
Beth said you had flower shoes. We confirmed it.
Yep.
Marlene.
Beth just showed us an image of Marlene. We didn't just randomly say, yep.
Yes. Yeah, we got to give you context, audience.
Yes. Tim, did you already say your prayer request? You mentioned.
I didn't. So I'm kind of, for my prayer request, kind of switching gears just a little bit. So I came to the insight today, at some point, that I feel kind of like I'm against like a brick wall when it comes to like improving certain things about my life. Like I mentioned something about like sticking to routines and incorporating like good habits and things like that. But it's just continually been a hit and a miss. So I was thinking today, like maybe I need to just try to become that person that I want to be, and then maybe it will kind of work itself out. Like if I can't motivate myself to do something, just like pretend that I am that person that can do that doesn't have like that sort of resistance to doing it. And it kind of reminds me of the phrase like fake it till you make it or something like that. Like if I can't psych myself into the feeling, then maybe I have to like be the person instead. And it's kind of difficult to do that, and it kind of reminds me of the Nike phrase "just do it." But I think that's what I'm going to try. At least just foster that awareness that I can make those choices as kind of viewing myself a little bit differently, like what I'm trying to accomplish or what my aspirations are, or something like that. Like what is the end goal? And so a prayer for me to just kind of incorporate something along those lines.
Yeah. Will do. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Tim.
Thank you.
Get up that rock, Tim. You just climbed it. like you climbed that rock. You just do it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
For those that don't know, Tim climbed a rock on the young adult life group retreat. He is now recalling that moment. If you haven't heard.
Did you forget?
It's so funny. I'm like, I thought like you were bringing that up for
I didn't even know that happened. I didn't know that happened, but I was like, yeah, Tim, climb that rock. And
You rock, Tim.
I was like, maybe he told a story about climbing a rock earlier and I wasn't listening. Sorry, Tim, I missed it.
Nope, he climbed it, and on the way down, Pastor John gashed his thumb wide open.
That's right.
No.
Oh my gosh.
He's not as young as the rest of you.
I know. He's so much older than us. It's crazy. Like years, many years, especially me. He's so much older than me.
Well, I'm older than him, so I have no room to talk.
Yeah, we're probably like the same age, Beth. You know?
Are you also 29?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, for me, thanks for asking.
I forgot to be on top of it this week. I wanted to put you in that position, but I did.
We were too busy thinking of Pastor John's being older than Jessica.
I was trying to envision Tim climbing a rock.
Yeah.
Please, can we pray for you for Jessica?
What is your prayer, Jessica?
Well, I'm part of this team that I feel like they forget about me a lot. And, I'm just
sorry.
Wait, what?
No. I think on a serious note, though, continued prayers on like really understanding me having ADHD and finding more tools that can be helpful for me to like decipher between, this is like an ADHD symptom, this is a moment, and figure out what I can do. The fun thing is that I also am a veteran, and so I have this thing called post-traumatic stress, and so I have like all of the letters in the alphabet after my name at this point, like Jessica Young, post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, ADHD. What else am I going to add? Podcast host, wife, anyways. So it's really just, what'd you say?
Zookeeper. I was trying to get you.
Yeah, zookeeper. I mean, let's be real. So I'm really just trying to navigate like, okay, this is a moment. Am I being impulsive? Am I being lazy? Is my body trying to tell me something? Or is this just ADHD, just feeling overwhelmed kind of situation, And so really just trying to navigate that. And because like I said last week, I'm solution oriented. I want to know what I can do, because if there's anything that I can do, I want to have control over it, right? Because I'm human and I want to control the world. So,
yeah.
so that's the main thing, is really just finding more tools with all of this. And but other than that, I'm just really excited, like I said earlier, about the holiday season, getting to connect with everybody this holiday season, and be part of PUMC for Christmas. So that's all.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely praying for you on that, Jessica.
Thanks, Tim. Much appreciated. I appreciate you asking me. So, well, I feel like this was a really exciting podcast today, and I'm really eager this entire December month to dive even further into this Advent series. So for those listening, we hope that you can join us as we go through this, but also don't forget, we have our podcast email address, and Beth's going to share that right now. It is
Methodists2themadness@gmail.com.
That's right. So you can contact us. Let us know if you have any questions, any feedback. Again, if you want to tell us that we're pretty, you can do that too. You know, and
yeah, you could tell us that we're a great team.
And nothing negative.
Remember Jessica more.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're just encouraged, though, by all of the listeners, and we appreciate everybody that has come up to us and just shared their excitement for this podcast. We've had a lot of fun as well. We hope that you can continue listening to us as we move in to this next week.
Different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.